Senate is now in session. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, Berryhill, Blakesley, Calderon, Cannella, Corbett, Correa, De Leon, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Emerson, Evans, Fuller, Gaines, Hancock, Harmon, Hernandez, Huff, Kehoe, LaMalfa, Leno, Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Rubio, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, Walters, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
Quorum has been established. Members, if we could ask the chambers to please come to order. Could the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfi, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Mimi Walters. Rabbi?
Good morning. Brother David Steindl Rast, a Benedictine monk, teaches us that gratefulness is the key to a happy life that we hold in our hands. Because if we are not grateful, then no matter how much we have, we will not be happy, because we will always want to have something else or something more. May the Holy One make our hearts open to receive and acknowledge the many blessings in our life. May we have a sense of gratitude and awe for all that we have already been given. And may we find that we already possess all that we need to live a life of meaning and purpose. May this be God's will. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Senator Walters. Members, we are at privileges of the floor. Before we address items under privileges of the floor, would you please join me in welcoming our former colleague, former State Senator John Benoit, now County Supervisor John Benoit. Mr. Benoit, welcome to the California State Senate. If there are no items at this time under privileges of the floor, we will go to messages from the Governor, which will be deemed read, messages from the Assembly, which will be deemed read, messages from committees, which will be deemed read, and amendments adopted. And then we will go to motions and resolutions. Under motions and resolutions, members, without objection, a photographer will be allowed on the floor for today's session. Seeing and hearing no objection, it is so ordered. And without objection, the following resolution will be withdrawn from committee and placed on today's special consent calendar. That is Senate Concurrent Resolution 66, once again, SCR 66. Without objection, and seeing and hearing none, so ordered. We return now to consideration of the daily file. We do have one item under unfinished business, and that is file item 62. Senator Corbett, do you wish to take this matter up? Then let's ask the Secretary to please read.
Senate Bill 880 by Senator Corbett, an act relating to common interest developments and declaring the urgency thereof that take effect immediately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Senate Bill 880 clarifies existing law.
Senator Corbett, one moment, please. We have members who are just arriving on the floor, and I know you'll want them to give you full attention. If we could ask members to please take their seats. Members, this is file item 62. File item 62. One moment, please, Senator Corbett. Members, please present.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is Senate Bill 880, and it clarifies existing law established by Senate Bill 209 of last year. The bill addresses some issues brought up by the governor in his signing message of SB 209, and we've worked closely with the governor's office to address his issues. He was concerned about restricting the ability for homeowners associations to weigh in the installation of charging stations in common areas without agreements from the association. Owners will still be protected in their interest in installing charging stations in their designated parking spaces, but SB 880 sets up a fair process for installing charging stations in the common area that will allow owners to work with the associations to accommodate their needs. And I'm sorry, members, I didn't mention this is charging stations for electric vehicles. Senate Bill 880 has no opposition and has the support of the electrical vehicle advocates, homeowners associations, and home insurance companies. This bill just addresses some of the issues brought up on the earlier legislation and brings it in compliance with those interests. SB 880 has also received bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Is there debate or discussion? Senator Harman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of SB 880. This is more or less a technical cleanup of legislation from last year. It does now have the support of the Personal Insurance Federation, who had some objections to it before that required a full type of insurance policy for people that wanted to have these types of installations in their property. Now it can be done with a rather than an umbrella policy, just simply adding on as a named insured. My sense of things is that people eventually, in a few years, maybe a decade or so, are going to be a lot of us driving electric cars, and it makes sense to allow individual homeowners that own property and, for instance, a condominium to have one of these charging devices in their common area garage. I think it makes sense. It's what the future holds for us. Most of the opposition, I believe all the opposition, has been removed. I ask for your aye vote.
Further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Corbett, you may close.
Thank you very much, members. This is, as Senator Harman said, basically just addressing some issues. It's really cleanup legislation. I thank him for his help and support on this measure as well, and I ask for your aye vote.
Members, this is an urgency item. Two-thirds vote is required. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Harman. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Anderson, no to aye. Correa, aye. Strickland, aye.
Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Walters, aye. Blakesley. Dutton, aye. Fuller. Hancock. Huff, aye. Runner, Yee.
Ayes 35, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 35, noes 0 on concurrence. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Senator Corbett, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Yes, Mr. President.
One moment, Senator. Senator, one moment, please. Members, we ask both that you give your attention to Senator Corbett and also that you display the best possible behavior for the grade school children who have joined us in the gallery. One moment, please. One moment, please. One moment, please. Senator Corbett, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is concerns the consent calendar. This is just a request to remove an SCR from consent calendar. Yes, I request the removal of SCR 66 from the special consent calendar to allow it to be taken up without reference to file.
Without objection? So ordered. Would you like to take it up now, Senator Corbett? No, not at this time, but later in this session. All right. Then let me ask Senator Saulnier, for what purpose do you rise, sir? Apparently to point me back to Senator Corbett. Senator Corbett, for what purpose do you rise, ma'am?
I'm very sorry. I was misinformed on my number.
Okay.
But I would like to take 66 up now.
All right. Members, we are taking up file item without reference to file, SCR 66. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 66 by Senator Corbett, relative to California Craft Brewery Month.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and members. I rise with pride to present Senate Concurrent Resolution 66, which proclaims February as California Craft Brewery Month. In 1978, California became the birthplace of the craft brewing movement when Governor Jerry Brown signed Assembly Bill 3610 into law, removing the restriction on on-premises sales of craft beer. Now, California has more craft breweries than any other state in the country. I have several in my district, and I know many of you on the floor are very proud of the several craft breweries in your district as well. In my district, we have Drake's in San Leandro and Buffalo Bills Brewing in Hayward. The California craft brewing industry creates more than 17,000 jobs, which in turn create billions of dollars in positive economic impact. And California is known and recognized internationally for the quality of its craft breweries. So not only are we known for wine, we are known internationally for beer as well. Year after year, California breweries win more medals at brewing competitions than breweries from other states. Craft breweries important part of California, and SCR 66 will help recognize this important industry by memorializing the history of the California craft brewery movement and proclaiming February as California Craft Brewery Month. I also want to note that the bottles used for bottling our craft brews are also made in California, also good for the economy. I would like to welcome to the floor some of our craft brewers this morning. They're standing behind me, I believe. They're the ones with the smiles on their faces. I have to tell you, when you ever visit a craft brewer, they seem to love their jobs. I've never seen one not smiling. So I'd like to introduce Tom McCormick, who's the Executive Director of the California Craft Brewers Association, Jan Eric DiPeno from Rustaller Brewing Company, Steve Swinford from Rubicon Brewing Company, and David Mathis from the American River Brewing Company. Also joining us is Dan Scott, who's the Director of the Northern California Brewers Guild. And I'd like you to all know, if any of you would like to do any further economic development research, the California Craft Brewers Association is having a showcase tonight in Sacramento, which I'm sure you can find not too far from here. So members, please welcome our craft brewers, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote on SCR 66.
Debate or discussion? Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, at the risk of going down a very slippery slope, all of us wanted to talk about craft brews this morning. I did want to take just a moment to commend Senator Corbett for this recognition and highlight a couple of things about the craft brewery movement as I see it. First of all, this is an industry that in the midst of the worst economic recession since the Great Depression has continued to grow double digits year to year to year. And disproportionately has more people working to create their product than a lot of their larger counterparts. I think that says a lot about them. Also, as chair of the Energy Committee, I want to commend all of them for what they do to run very, very efficient operations. A lot of them in their early years were some of the pioneers of using energy efficient equipment, solar panels to power their facilities, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not just a good taste in the glass at the end of the day. but a thoughtful enterprise as well. And I want to congratulate all of you, and I look forward to future visits.
Senator LaMalfa. One moment, please, Senator LaMalfa. Members, if we could ask the chamber to please come to order. We do have a measure pending before the Senate. Senator LaMalfa.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Corbett, for bringing this measure forward. We have several craft brewers up in my area of the state as well, Weed and Paradise, and of course you know one of the main ones that would be Sierra Nevada, who is actually doing so well that they're opening a branch in North Carolina for purposes there to keep the trucking down and all that. So it's been a great big success. As a rice grower, and many people don't know that approximately half of all rice is consumed via brewed products, that I'm very happy to see the expansion of that as well. So, talk to me about rice if you like. But a great measure, and great to see the success of these. It's a really a local concern that is taken off, and so congratulations to you all.
Further debate or discussion? Is there further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Corbett, you may close.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And like I said, I'm very proud to present this resolution for those of us who are concerned about jobs in California. If you keep drinking beer, they'll keep hiring people, and I understand they are hiring people in this economy. I ask for your aye vote on this important economic development measure.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Blakesley. Fuller. Huff. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Runner. Yee.
Ayes 36, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator DeSaulnier, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Mr. President, I'd like to take a moment of the Senate's time to honor one of California's retiring public servants.
One moment, please, Senator DeSaulnier. Senator Corbett, do you need another moment on the floor before we take up the next item?
No.
Senator Corbett?
We'll find out.
Senator Corbett, do you need another moment for photographs before we take up the next item? Then let's take a moment, members. Senator DeSaulnier, thank you for your patience, sir. Senator DeSaulnier at Senator Steinberg's desk. For what purpose, sir?
I'd like to present a resolution to a retiring member of the workforce here in Sacramento. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like you all to join me in a moment honoring Kathy Cresswell, one of California's ideal public servants. For 26 years, Kathy has worked at the Department of Housing and Community Development, where her passion, experience, and collaborative problem solving has led to make sure that affordable housing opportunities for a generation of Californians are realized. For much of her tenure, Kathy led the Housing Policy Development Division, whose main function is to review the housing elements, we all remember those from our local government experience, of city and county general plans. In this critical but sometimes controversial realm, Kathy worked tirelessly to implement an effective and even-handed process and was able to maintain the deep respect of all parties. Under her watch, cities and counties achieved a record rate of compliance with California Housing Element Law. Kathy was largely responsible for the creation and implementation of various programs, including incentive programs that rewarded local governments for housing production and the Catalyst Projects for Sustainable Strategies pilot program, well known to our pro tem. For the last year, Kathy has been HCD's acting director. In this position, she focused on the award of Proposition 46 and 1C housing bond funds and increasing the customer service orientation of the department. As Kathy leaves her long service to the state of California, we thank her for her selfless dedication and passion and her effectiveness in helping California meet its affordable housing goals. And of course, we all wish her well in the future. Please join me in giving a round of applause for 26 years of dedicated public service to the state of California and all Californians to Kathy Creswell.
Thank you, Senator Desaulnier. Members, do we have other items under privileges of the floor? Senator Wolk at Senator Steinberg's desk. For what purpose do you rise, Senator?
To commemorate Ducks Unlimited's 75th anniversary.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Assemblymember Berryhill and I are very pleased to recognize the 75th anniversary of Ducks Unlimited, the world leader in wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Ducks Unlimited was founded by a small group of sportsmen in 1937 during the Dust Bowl, when North America's drought-plagued waterfowl populations had plunged to unprecedented lows. Since then, the staff and volunteers of this organization have been instrumental nationwide in restoring millions of lost acreage to natural wetland state. We have with us Mark Biddlecombe, Director of Ducks Unlimited Western Regional Office. Members, please join me in thanking and presenting this resolution to Ducks Unlimited on their 75th anniversary and applauding their efforts to conserve, preserve, and restore our nation's and our state's wetlands.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Wolk, and thank you again to our guests. Members, please join me in thanking our guests one more time. Senator Price, not at his desk. Senator Steinberg.
Mr. Berryhill, if I can. Thank you. For purpose of introduction, Mr. President. Mr. President, members, this morning I have the honor of introducing three distinguished visitors from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. These gentlemen represent the Electricity Distribution Company, one of three Jordanian utilities. The delegation is spending 2 weeks here in Sacramento with municipal utility district staff in my district to study practices relating to electric standards and human resource policies. This is one of several Jordanian visits to study SMUD's best practices in depth, allowing for a substantive exchange. This is an opportunity for all of us to know and to learn that Jordan is unique in its region. It has no hydrocarbon resources of its own. It imports all necessary oil and natural gas. And they thus have a premium, put a premium on energy efficiency. They are joined by representatives from SMUD, including the General Manager and CEO, John DeStasio. And many of you know here that in the Senate we have a wonderful international relations program where we welcome visitors from all parts of the world, and it is a great opportunity for people to see all the good that's going on in California and for us to learn from them. Please give a warm welcome to our honored guests from Jordan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg, and of course we join you in welcoming your guests from Jordan. Senator Price, why don't we take just one moment to allow for photographer on the floor. Thank you very much. Senator Price, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
For purposes of introduction, Mr. President.
Please proceed, Senator
Mr. President,
Price.
members. I'd like to introduce the Phenom Elite Track Club. These young athletes have excelled in their sport and have recently competed in the Junior Olympics.
Senator Price, one moment, please.
Yes.
Senator Price, I believe someone's blocking the lane. If you can
Thank
wait
you.
just
Thank you.
one
I'd like to
moment.
reintroduce the Phenom Elite Track Club. These young athletes have excelled in their sport and have recently competed in the Junior Olympics. Please join me in welcoming them to the Capitol and extend best wishes for their continued success.
Thank you, Senator Price, and we welcome your guests and congratulate them. We're delighted to have them on the floor of the California State Senate. Members, do we have any other items under privileges of the floor? Any other items under privileges of the floor? Are there any items under motions and resolutions? Any items under motions and resolutions? What? Do we have any items under motions and resolutions? Senator Wright, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Condition of the file?
Under condition of the file. Yes, Senator Wright, please.
You know, on the update, I had a meeting yesterday with several mayors who were here. I mentioned before several cities were considering bankruptcy. Another city that was not on my list of considering bankruptcy announced last night that they're considering bankruptcy. The great city of Stockton is now contemplating bankruptcy, which will be up to about 6 cities that will be looking at bankruptcy. One of the other things that we're still looking at, and this will occur more next month, is we will still be looking at some 30,000 housing units that were currently low to moderate that were financed with tax increment funds, where they'll go back to market rate, so we're going to put those people out. So I just wanted to do that as an update for some of the things that we've done here, as we'll call it my, Ron Wright message from the field about the effects of our redevelopment action.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Members, if there is no other business, Senator Leno, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Of announcement, please.
For purpose of announcement, Senator Leno.
Thank you. The Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review will convene its hearing today at 10 o'clock in room 4203.
Senator Leno announces that the Committee on Budget will convene at 10 o'clock. Senator Leno, what is your expectation about the time for the hearing and the break for lunch, if any, sir?
It's always difficult to estimate exactly, but I'm imagining we'll meet from 10 to 12:30, break for an hour at 1:30, and conclude by 4 p.m.
Thank you, Senator. Then, if there is no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Members, I'd like to adjourn in memory, if I might, of a Senate fellow who passed away last Friday. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Henry Wolfgang Carter. Henry was a graduate of Pepperdine University and the Law School of Georgetown. He was a seminal figure in the emergence of E-Trade and electronic compliance, which permits the use of electronic signatures to establish customer account agreements. But for us, more notably, he was part of our Senate family. He served as a Senate fellow years ago during the 85-86 session, where he performed admirably and made many lifelong friends. And of course, his interest and his specialty was e-commerce. Those who know him, and this comes from our Secretary of the Senate, Greg Schmidt, he would say he was a brilliant man and a kind man who dedicated much of his talents to the interests of the Senate and to state and public service. He was only 48 years old. And so anytime we lose a member of the Senate family, whether we've known him or her or not, it's important to get up on the floor and adjourn in memory and acknowledge a loss. Thank you.
Senator Steinberg, I spoke to Henry only a few weeks ago. I would ask that I be able to join you in this adjourn in memory, and I appreciate that courtesy. Would you care to announce the schedule for the coming week, sir?
Monday at 2. Thanks. Session will resume Monday at 2 o'clock. Next week, I'll announce the full committee schedule as well of all the activities going on in the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. Members, as you've heard, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday at 2 p.m. without objection. The Senate stands in recess.